Yo, what's going on? Today I'm going to show you how I made the track Tied Up. So this track had originally started as a beat, and I was just kind of messing around trying to find some cool sounds. I laid down a really simple chord progression, nothing complex at all, but I found a really cool sound in electronics. This is what it sounds like. So sometimes I'll start a track without really having an idea of the direction, but once I heard that sound I knew I wanted to go for something dark sounding, so I just kind of layered that into another electro instance and went looking for more sounds, and I found a really cool ARP. This is what it sounds like. This ARP is gross beated, just half speed. That really just kind of darkens up any sound, slows it down. This is what it sounds like without gross beat. It still sounds cool, but gross beat kind of just chilled it out. So a lot of times when you're looking for sounds, you want to keep an open mind and think about like effects you can add to make the sound work. It's very rare that you'll find a sound that just works right like from the start. So layering the ARP and the sort of pad sound gave us this. Something really open and spacey. But it did feel a little empty, so I went into Arcade to look for vocal chops. It's a really good plugin, and I found these. So these are some darker sounds, and these are from the Distant Voices pack, Angel Breath. Distant Voices is a really good pack for almost pad sounding vocals or just kind of background atmospheres. And once I layered those, I knew I had a really solid melody. I did want another kind of element to be in on the hook though, so I did find some more vocal chops. This is what they sound like here. These vocal sounds are a little more poppy sounding, and they're from the Hooked Arcade pack, the Projection preset. And Hooked gives you a lot of kind of like running down vocal leads, just kind of poppy, more modern sounding chops. And then that's basically the whole melody for the hook. This is what it sounds like. And whenever I'm making tracks in this style, I always love using synth basses because they give another kind of dark, gritty element to the track. So I just laid down a synth bass from Euphoria. This is a VST by Angelic Vibes, kind of a group of producers. It's a really cheap, like $5 I think VST, but it has some really good sounds. This is what the synth bass sounds like. And once I layered that, I knew I had a really solid hook idea. So the drums on this track are really simple. I wanted to leave a lot of room for the artist. A very simple snare pattern. So I did layer 2 snares here. Oftentimes I do layer my snares or claps to kind of build a more grand sounding snare. This is what the snares sound like. Just in a simple pattern. And then I also did add a perk. This is a pretty key part of the drums. It gives it a lot of bounce. And I just kind of went in and placed it on off beats, and it just filled up a lot of space and gave it a groove. It's like a tom type perk. And I came in with a rim shot, another perk. Just build more bounce. And again, not a very complex pattern, but you don't need something very complex. And then I came in with the kick. lot of newer producers tend to overdo it with their drums and their kicks, especially. In my opinion, the less you use and the more spaced out your kicks are, the more of a bounce it'll give your track. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then I came in with a closed hat right here. I did kind of almost use this as a hi-hat because I wanted to get kind of like a shaker sound, give it even more of a groove. This is what it sounds like. And really, when you're making these patterns, it's all about trying to fill up off beats or places where you feel like the drums are missing something. And then I came in with a very simple two-step hi-hat, just alternating some volumes to give it more bounce. And then I also wrote another hi-hat in, just with some rolls, and some lower pitch notes that also help build a bounce. So, a very simple drum pattern. The melody kind of carries this track, I believe. The drums are really just there to complement. So this is what the whole beat sounds like when you play it together. Just super open and airy and atmospheric. And it has a somber sound to it, which is something I really enjoy. And then on the verse, I did switch it up with an 808. This is something I like to do a lot. I like to use different basses throughout my tracks. Otherwise, one can get too stale sounding. So this is what the 808 pattern is. So it's a pretty bouncy 808 pattern, and I did that to complement the drums. This is what the 808 sounds like with the rest of the drums in the verse. Still very open. And also when you're making verses, you want to make sure you're dropping out elements. I dropped out the main poppy sounding vocal, and then also I dropped out the ARP for a little bit, just to kind of give the track a little more space. So I sent this beat out to two artists, Drew Harvey and Alley, and then Drew Harvey came up with this intro right here. So this is what Drew Harvey's intro idea sounded like.
You got me sinking deeper into you, and I don't care if your words are true.
So then Alley came in with a really dark, smooth, but also somewhat aggressive hook. This is what his hook sounds like soloed.
I can't see the light, I think we're lost, and I can't go by your words.
And then he also did some reverb, reverse reverbs, just to kind of build energy. And it also builds an atmosphere to the track, so that's something you can try doing. You know, mess around with reversing some instruments and throwing reverb on them, and it can create a really cool effect. And then he also threw some ad-libs in. And it all just fills up the empty space. Like, the beat is pretty minimal, and I wanted the vocals to come through, and that's what the artist did.
I can't see the light, I think we're lost, and I can't go by your words, 'cause it's just not enough. I need time.
So Drew came in with just a really solid hook. He just rides the beat super nicely, and I really like how his flow kind of overlaps with the 808, as I'll just solo those two so you can really hear what it sounds like.
Stress drinking in the afternoon, ain't no quick fix for an attitude. Can't ask anything without lighting your fuse. You got a sense for lack of image.
It kind of just like, it works so well, like when he's hitting certain syllables, the 808's hitting, and when he's pausing, the 808 may hit or pause depending. It's just, they bounce and play very well with each other. And the thing that I think makes this song what it is just the overall atmosphere and vibe that we created. And that's just using the right sounds and not overcomplicating it. In order to get these kind of dark, spacey sounds, you really just gotta have good sound selection, good sounds, and know how to mix your track. So on the second hook, in order to build even a little more energy, make the track feel a little grander, like a good way to finish it, Drew came in with some ad libs, and I think these are really beautiful sounding. This is what they sounded like. They just sound so good, and they layer so well with the instruments. Here's what they sound like together. So Alley originally came up with 2 hook ideas, and originally we were only going to use one, but I liked his second hook so much I said, why don't we extend the last hook and just throw it in? And I'm really happy we did, because I think this hook kind of just finishes off the track so nicely, and it really gives like a good message to the listener. So yeah, that's how I made the track Tied Up. Again, I think the key to making these types of songs is to not overcomplicate your drums, to not overcomplicate your melodies, and really just kind of create an atmosphere. And in order to do that, you need to be selecting the right sounds, and you just need to know how to mix your track nicely. Again, it's not a very hard thing to do. It's just, it takes an ear and experience, and hopefully you learn something from this and can implement some of these tricks into your tracks. And realize that you really don't have to overcomplicate or go crazy with your melodies or drums. Thank you guys.